Hey Gateway, good to be with you again, and it's good to be with you this morning. Today we started our series on practicing the presence of God, and we started exploring the ancient Christian spiritual disciplines which have been practiced in the church for more than 2,000 years. I started by explaining that the disciplines themselves have no worth for us, and they don't impress God in any way. What they do, to quote Richard Foster from this book, The Celebration of Discipline, is place us before God so that He might transform us. And it's God's transformation through practicing these disciplines that we're after. In this series, we'll be looking at the disciplines of prayer, meditation, Sabbath, fasting, intercession, simplicity, and slowing down. But today I started by looking at the joint disciplines of solitude and silence. The disciplines which I believe lead us towards the other discipline that we'll be considering. I emphasise the points that solitude was a regular practice for Jesus and has been for his disciples down the ages. Solitude is not the same as loneliness or even aloneness, as Christian solitude always involves being alone with God. Jesus' teaching in Matthew 6 tells us that when we pray, we're to close the door, pray to God who is in the secret place, so that when we go to solitude, being on our own, we can find God there. Silence on the outside helps us to achieve silence on the inside, although this needs lots of practice. Silence on the inside enables us to attend to God and the voice of His Spirit, and this is the major objective of silence and solitude: to be alone with God with no distractions, and to enjoy His presence and to learn to hear His voice by leaning into Him and attending to His Spirit's voice. This sort of engagement needs active listening, where we aim to listen to God and not immediately jump in to add our own voice, even if we have good things to say. Humans have a habit of jumping into conversations, and this was demonstrated by Peter on the mountaintop with Jesus, Elijah and Moses during the Transfiguration. He just had to speak and fill the moment with a ridiculous suggestion that he and the other two disciples should build shelters for the three of them. He just couldn't keep his mouth shut. He was offering what the writer of Ecclesiastes calls a sacrifice of fools, meaningless and empty religious talk designed simply to impress or fill a silence. We should be careful in our solitude and silence not to offer the sacrifice of fools. I challenged everyone listening this morning to aim to spend 5 minutes a day in silence before God this week, actively trying to attend to His voice, the voice of His Spirit, and I pointed out that this was not a law and we shouldn't worry if we find our minds wandering and full of distractions. But I also challenged everyone to be disciplined enough to finish the 5 minutes each day. I didn't talk about the practice of retreat days and longer periods of silence and reflection, which Christians have practiced over the years and which Foster recommends as believers as an annual activity. This is perhaps something we would work our way towards as we become increasingly comfortable with sitting in attentive silence before God. If you're looking at this as part of one of our life group activities, I've got some questions for you to consider, or indeed you could consider these just for yourself. So the questions are: do you find the thought of sitting in silence for any period of time attractive or scary or some other emotion? Why do you think this is? Secondly, what do you think of Foster's statement that I read out early in my talk, that superficiality is the curse of our age? What we have a great need for is deep people. What do you think he meant by that? And do you agree? Question number 3. Some people may feel that time spent in silence before God is a waste of time and doesn't achieve anything. How would you answer someone who said that to you? Fourthly, what's the biggest challenge you face in being able to regularly spend time in silence with God? Are there ways that you could overcome this? And finally, are you someone who likes to jump into conversations and fill the silence? How could you be encouraged to remain in attentive silence before God? I hope you have a great week, and I hope you enjoy discussing those questions in your groups. God bless you. Bye.